today's show, we'll discuss the 1.1 million florin Phase 5 of the courthouse construction project in Oranjestad. Plus, in our lifestyle segment, find out why it's good for your health to have good friends. And an extensive research thesis on Oranjestad Main Street puts things into perspective as to how the area can be more economically viable. 15 on 15 starts right now. Hi everyone, thanks for joining us. I'm Yentl Lieuw. The last phase of the courthouse project in Oranjestad is underway. This component of the construction work is for the community rather than just visitors of the courthouse. Here is an update. There are 5 phases in total that are required for the completion of the courthouse project. The first phase was the renovation of the courthouse building itself. Phase 2 was security. Furnishing and decor was next, and that was Phase 3. Currently, Phase 4 and Phase 5 are in process. Phase 4 is the creation of the Lady of Justice statue. The statue is being made in Holland. It is scheduled to arrive on the island in time for when the park in front of the courthouse is completed. The statue is costing 125,000 florins, and Phase 5 is an investment of 1.1 million florins. Proper landscaping is required for the last phase of the project. The park is being completely redone with different colors of concrete, new additions of plants, gardening, and more. The last phase of the courthouse project is being financed by FDA. Once the area is finished, the intent is to attract the community together and spend leisure time there. Moving forward, Aruba has talented athletes who could become a professional within a sport and represent Aruba. Just look at Xander Bogaerts. In order for athletes on the island to showcase talent, they must travel around the world to gain experience and compete. Traveling, of course, does not come cheap. A sponsorship from a public or private company can go a very long way. Marika Boots, the number 17th best beach tennis player in the world, is like many athletes on the island, dedicating full time to a sport to represent Aruba internationally. An individual who discovers talent within a sport should try to further develop it and maximize themselves in it. It isn't easy being at a top in any sport, seeing as how competitive they are. But once you find something you are good at, you can train to become even better.
Yeah, well, I like tennis. The tennis I grew up with, from when I was 8 years old, but now I switch a little bit to beach tennis and I play on a high level, and I like it a lot. And the beach tennis is growing on Aruba. We have a lot of opponents that play very well, so I like to play the beach tennis, yes.
More and more players on the island are becoming ranked thanks to Beach Tennis Aruba's ITF G4 tournaments.
Yeah, it's very good because they put like a G4, you can earn international points now. So it's very interesting for the Aruban players. So now everybody start to have a ranking international. So yeah, very happy with that.
Marika Boots is currently the number 17th best female beach tennis player in the world. She is looking to travel the world this summer in order to earn enough ranking points and be one of the top 10 players and represent Aruba. In order to bring up athletes on the island, sponsorships are necessary.
Yes, I have to take care of everything, so that's why I have to work also hard for that. But it's my passion, and of course we try to look for sponsors, but it's very difficult because it's a growing sport, you know. But if there are sponsors, let me know. Yeah.
Now, beach tennis is not only a growing sport, but globally people are making the connection that one of the best spots to play the sport is in Aruba. So it wouldn't be such a bad thing for sponsors to jump on board. I was recently in Fort Myers for a G1 tournament, and I'd like to thank my sponsors, which was CMB, Yentl Lieuw, and Carmen Snacks, for their support. We will have much more when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back from the break. Having meaningful friendships means possible health benefits. Who knew? Here is another reason to value your true friendships and invest in them. The cast of Friends did a good job of showing us how great friendships can be. Good friends are hard to come by. When you find real friends, you need to maintain it, and you can do so by working at it all the time, as well as letting each other know how important they are in your life. People who have a good social support network cope better with stress. And on top of that, some studies have proven they live longer. Experts say it is good to have 2 or 3 really close friends rather than a ton of acquaintances. Reason being, the deeper the friendships, the more benefits it has. Couples and newlyweds, listen up. How long does the honeymoon phase really last? It turns out, for some people, it may be shorter than you think. Once newlyweds settle in as husband and wife, the happy couple is probably basking in the glow of wedded bliss. But it seems as though that good vibe has an expiration date. According to a new study, the honeymoon phase is definitely real, but not for everyone. Researchers followed 400 couples throughout the first 2.5 years of their marriages to see if their satisfaction dipped over time. After 30 months' time of being married, 14% of men and 10% of women seemed to experience the honeymoon phase, followed by a steep dip in marital happiness. Afterwards, for the people in the study, marital satisfaction spiked right around their wedding, then rapidly declined until the 30-month mark, when many of them reported feeling extremely unhappy in their marriages. So enjoy that honeymoon phase when you can. And if you are trying to lose weight and going for a smaller waist, eat more hummus. Here's why. New research shows that eating hummus is linked to a smaller waistline. The popularity of the Middle Eastern dip is growing. People who regularly eat hummus tend to have smaller waists and healthier diets overall. Hummus eaters take in 52% more fiber, 13% more good-for-you polyunsaturated fats, and 20% less sugar than others who don't eat hummus. In conclusion, people who eat the chickpea-based dip are healthier eaters overall, packing in more servings of fruit, dark green veggies, and whole grains per day. Not surprisingly, this of course translates to benefits that you can see. Hummus fans' waists are, on average, 8% smaller than the waists of people who don't eat the dip at all. They also tend to weigh less, even though they take in no fewer calories overall. Interesting. On that note, we will be right back. Take a look to see what is coming up next. A bachelor's degree graduate student from the University of Aruba conducted an extensive thesis analysis on Orangestad's Main Street. The goal of his thesis is to assess and evaluate the identity of the current Main Street. Following that, the next step was to discover opportunities where Main Street can be improved in such a way that locals and tourists would spend more money. Kawish Messier started his study on downtown Main Street in 2011. The research involved assessing all retailers in the area. Kawish interviewed 13 merchants. He also interviewed Mambo and members of the parliament. He handed out 150 surveys to tourists in order to collect data to determine supply versus demand. According to Kawish, giving the Main Street an identity is step one.
Okay, it starts with communication. They have to work together and come with a collective branding. Because when I did the surveys at the tourists, I went in the Main Street, I went to the cruise ship, I went to the high-rise hotels, and a lot of tourists don't even know what or where the Main Street is. They think it's L.G. Smith Boulevard because they all drive on that road, and when you talk about the Main Street, they think that it's that. So I think we should change the name of the Main Street into Calle Grande, as it's always been, so we have the local identity, because there's a Main Street in Oranjestad, there's a Main Street in San Nicolas, in Curaçao, and Bonaire, and a lot of Main Streets in the United States. So we need to talk about Calle Grande. And then people will know, oh, it's the Calle Grande in downtown Oranjestad, Aruba.
In order to attract more tourists to Main Street, the shopping area needs to be designed to appeal to locals as well. Once the locals think of Main Street as their main shopping destination, the tourists will then follow.
And what we've seen in the last couple of years is that a lot of malls have opened outside the Main Street, especially in North, in front of the tourist corridor. And now tourists don't have to drive all the way to the Main Street. They go outside of their hotel and do their shopping. So basically the Main Street has to reinvent itself, come with a new business model to attract a lot of visitors. And I think if we want, I did it for ATA, the Aruba Tourism Authority, and what I've seen is if we want tourists to come into the main street, we should focus on locals. Because a lot of tourists want to shop where the locals shop. And if we only focus on tourists, we will lose them both.
The thesis writer says the newer generation of tourists want to explore the local culture as well flavor. If what Gawish is saying is true, that the tourists will go to Main Street by themselves if locals shop there, then the question becomes how luxurious can Main Street become?
The focus has been to invest a lot in the infrastructure to create a 5-star Main Street. We have 5-star hotels, we want 5-star schools, and now the 5-star Main Street. The question is, can the local population afford to shop in a 5-star Main Street? I think the average consumer on Aruba cannot afford it. So that means what will happen is that the Main Street renovated itself. Once the owners of the buildings will renovate their buildings, the rent of the stores will go up. That means that the local retailers cannot pay the rent and they will be taken over by international brand names.
We will have more from Gawish this week. He has come up with many ideas, simple ones, to generate more traffic into Main Street, from more convenient public restrooms to Wi-Fi and much, much more. So be sure to tune in for that. And that's it for us today. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back here at the same time, same place tomorrow, starting at 7:15 p.m. right here on Channel 15 ATV. So we will see you then.